Okay. Hey there, everybody. This is SONiA Disappear Fear. Welcome to the first interview of um, awesome people who have helped build Disappear Fear through the many different changes it's gone through. Today, I'm interviewing Marc Lawrence, an awesome musician and a great friend. And just to give you some idea of who's been involved with this and who he is and all that. So, Marc, welcome to today.
Glad to be here today.
um, just to give people like an idea of your involvement, when, um, when, like, what was the time exactly that you performed with Disappear Fear? Do you know the year?
Yeah, it was 92 to 95.
Okay,
And I remember a couple of things, if you'll let me talk for a minute.
please.
Okay, so I was turned on to you by a friend of mine named Chris Merza. She's a bass player. And this was when I was at Towson State. And somehow we ended up seeing you at a really tiny club somewhere down in Baltimore. I mean, you might remember the name. I do not, but it was super small. And then I loved it right out of the gate. There was something right there that I knew, I like that. And then a little time passed, and then I saw you again at the 8x10, and I really liked it even more. And at that point, I was like, hey, if you need a drummer ever, I'd love to play with you, And then the final time I heard you and saw you was at Hammerjacks, and you were rocking it there. You and Cindy were just tearing it up, the two of you. And I was in. I knew I needed to be a part of it somehow. So eventually you did say you were looking to put a band together. And we did an audition. We did two auditions, if you recall. Am I going too fast?
No,
okay.
It's great. It's great.
Okay.
I remember that Hammerjack show. Everybody was on the floor. It was crazy.
Well, somehow I ended up being up above though, which was very cool.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But anyway, and then I remember I had gotten a few players together for the audition that you wanted to put together. It was me and Chris Mertz on the bass. It might have just been the two of us at that first audition. And I think you wanted to work out Moment of Glory that, Chris and I had never heard before. You hadn't recorded it yet. And it went okay, it seemed, for the audition. That's about as good as I would say it went. And then you decided, I think shortly thereafter, you wanted to do another audition, if I have it right. And again, I got a different bass player, I believe, and I got Brian Sims on the keys. And that went a little better, I believe, but still it wasn't out of the park, if I recall this correctly. But what I remember after that was you eventually called and left a message on my voicemail while I was playing in the funk and soul band, the local Tony Berry band in town, that you and Cindy came out to check me out at once.
Right.
Way in the beginning, before all of this.
Yeah.
And then you said on my answering machine, when I finally checked it, because I was in Key West at the time playing at Sloppy Joe's, checking my machine every night to see if you said anything. And you said, sorry, I'm going with this world beat group. And I thought, okay, well, that stinks. Because I really knew that I had something to give you, like a lot to give you, your music, that maybe not everybody would have done. At least that's the way I felt. So I sort of went back and called you and said, hey, why don't you reconsider one more time? Just because I feel like there's, something here. And you, for whatever reason, decided, okay, meet me in the studio, like within a couple of days after that. And I think you might have said, bring a bass player with you. Mm-hmm. And I brought this dude named Tom Hirschman and myself, and you were working on a reggae tune, which was going to be play the music.
Oh, wow.
And that was, I guess it was at John Grant's. Do you remember that at all?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
So we worked it out for, I don't know, an hour. And then you liked it. You liked it. And you gave me a peppermint patty, a little one, and said, you want to be in the band? And I took the peppermint patty, and, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I do remember it. I do. It's always about the food for me, and the peppermint patty, as you know,
Yep, I'm a
is
big
the
fan myself.
is the ticket.
Yeah,
That's so cool. That's awesome. Wow. Well, you also gave me a cassette,
I
which I
remember that.
which
That,
I
that was
think I
8x10.
still have.
Oh,
Yeah, which I think I still have. I'm not
wow.
sure. I don't know if I actually listened to it. Maybe I did, but I was more into, who knows, I mean, I was into your astrological sign or something, I
Right.
was someone told me that I think it was Gina Shock from the Go-Go's and stuff, because she said, like, the first thing I ever asked her was what her astrological sign was. I remember I woke her up and she said, "I'll do that." She goes, "I got this other thing going and it might kick off," which it did, which is the Go-Go's, but
Nice
the
thing.
band,
Yep.
yeah, that really kicked off. But anyway, so it was just, you can tell by my hair today, not much has changed all that
No
much.
glasses on. Oh yeah. No, your hair looks great.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm
Love it.
totally getting it cut off tomorrow.
Oh, are you?
I
Like,
like, oh my God, it's driving me crazy. I like it, but it's just a little bit too insane. I don't think I don't know if I have the patience, but that was awesome. Thank you. I didn't realize that you had like so much connection to so many different bass players in Baltimore that I played with, or in the vicinity. I know that you were super connected, but I didn't realize that I had listened to so many people, and like I was so I get I kind of, it's neat to hear that, because I don't remember all the Tom Hirschman. That name sounds familiar, and Chris's name sounds familiar, but I have no idea what they were doing or what I was. I don't know.
well, I don't know how well connected I was with folks, but I had just recently graduated from Towson, and there were a lot of cats there to
Yeah,
pick from.
yeah.
And Tom was cool. Tom played the trumpet real well and the bass.
All right. Wow, that's cool. That
Yep.
would have that's that they seem to kind of go together some. Okay, so my next question's a little strange, but I'll
Go
just jump
ahead.
into it. What was the best? It's a double-headed question, so I don't
Go
know how
ahead.
my brain works like that. What was the best thing about being in the band, and what was the worst thing about
Being in the band.
being in my
Um,
band?
all right, well, let's go with the best.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, this is probably, I mean, it's not a stock answer for me, but I would imagine most people would come up with this same answer. And that is, we wanted to kick ass every night, every night. And, there's a lot of energy every single person has that's feeling that. And you put all that energy in one room, and, you're proud of that moment.
Yeah.
And so, those are your boys and your girls, and you got their back and you're happy to do it just so you can get those 2 hours in every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best part. I mean, sure, there were some specific gigs that were better than others that was terrific, and some great people we got to meet and wonderful experiences for sure. But yeah, the best part of being in a band was certainly kicking ass and
Yeah.
doing it together
Yeah.
and being appreciated for it. People digging it. I mean,
Yeah.
once you get a taste of that, you just want to keep that going.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have to say to you that you gave it your all, and you are like the bar. You are the bar for that. And so there are other musicians that I've worked with since we worked together, that did not do that. In fact, I found out, and I won't name a name, but of this guy that was playing one night with me for a short amount of time, and he was yawning during like one song. Terry told me, and I was like, "You're kidding me!" And she's like, "No, I'm not." And I'm like, "What song was it?" Like, maybe it was like a boring song, but it wasn't. It was like it wasn't a killer song, but it was worth your
Yeah.
attention. I mean, and I was like, I said, you know what I didn't do though? I did not say you yawned during my song. I just sort of kept that information, and we didn't work together that much longer, but
Well,
I'm to this day, I'm like, you were freaking yawning. I mean, I'm like,
well,
what?
it is bizarre that anyone would join you that has that mindset just simply because that was my immediate attraction to you, was how you went for it. every single note, every single song, every single gig. And I can't imagine someone knocking on your door that isn't all about that. So that's surprising.
Yeah, yeah, that was a sucky. There were two sucky conglomerations of people that I put together for tours, and that was one of them. And it was just, horrible. So
I
that's why
remember
it's really delightful to talk to you, and then maybe, yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
so the worst part of being in the band.
Yeah.
I have to think about it. I mean, certainly the opposite, the 22 hours that you weren't playing, that was the worst part.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's awesome. You get to read all these books. I mean, I was 23, I guess, when we started, and I didn't read too much at that point. And Howard Markman, check this out, check this out. And then same with music. Everyone has their own taste. Check this out, check this out. And you're riding around the band in the van, very close with, proximity to everyone, and you're learning a lot of things. It was a super time for,
Yeah. Yeah.
learning.
It was like a super crazy 3 years. Right?
Was. But that being said, after a while, a lot of the 22 hours, was like, oh, here we go again, just driving, which I never minded driving. But there was always something in a 22-hour period that makes you think, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's very hard.
Yep.
Um, and I mean, the money was very little, and you worked your ass off, and it was your love and your passion and your perseverance that kept it going. And I mean, that was no small thing. It fed me, it fed everything really, because I've always felt this way. When it works on the drums, it can work. It's like, and it's our relationship too, because I think my listening change, your listening changes when it's almost like you're not listening because you're doing your song. And that's how you would let it be, which was an awesome place to get to. And I guess that's kind of what I felt when we were doing Play the Music, which is what made me say, let's do
Right.
this. It was like, it was just, we were one thing, and that's how it should be. And Brian, I think too, like I had no intention of, uh, when you brought Brian to the session, I was like, well, that's kind of ballsy. That's kind of like, but he was great, and you really liked him, and also felt like you brought your musicality, your sense of what it is, to it, and it was like, that's awesome. And I knew I couldn't afford it. Dividing it by 5 instead of dividing it by 4 is
Right.
definitely significantly less, or 5 or 6, whatever.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have had the balls just to bring Brian at that stage in the game. I had a feeling maybe you invited him or wanted to try something with him.
I agreed to it.
Okay.
I
did bring
agreed
it
to
up.
it.
Okay, yeah, well, that sounds like me. I would.
Yeah, I agreed to it, but but not really. Like, I might kind of like a blind date. "Yeah, okay, we'll try
Right.
this." I mean, like
Right.
with really very little
I
expectation
got
of
you.
following through. And then I
Right.
was really blown away by it. And I also loved too that you could sing, and that you did, and you sang. You were like, I think it was for one of the projects you did at school that was so involved with you memorized this. Well, you read it, but you also memorized this incredible solo. I don't know if
Oh
it
no, I know what that
was it
was,
John
Sonia.
Coltrane
Okay.
or something?
Well,
I mean, or
it was probably. There were a couple solos that I used to love to transcribe. That was something that,
oh my
well,
God.
yeah, if you want to get really into it, I mean, the real weeds and the nuts and the bolts and the good stuff. I was so blessed when I was at Towson State to have studied privately for a full 2 years, 2 hours a week with a renowned bass player, Drew Gress. Drew is just a monster upright player. I mean, if you Google him, you'll see that he's the cat. He's like one of the 10 cats on the planet, for real.
Phew.
And for whatever reason, at that time, Drew was teaching at Towson State, and he was playing the bass, and I'm a drummer. And the dean there at school said that would be okay. I asked, hey, anyway, I could hook up with this guy and take private lessons. And just getting all that knowledge out of that man was just, I'll never have an experience like that again. I mean, I won't, and I haven't. And I'm grateful for it. Trying to think where I'm going with this. So,
You're going to transcribing. You were transcribing
yes. So
these
anyway,
amazing
Drew, I'm sure Drew turned me on to the idea of learn horn solos. I know you're a drummer, but learn horn solos. So Joe Henderson's Isotope and John Coltrane on a couple different tunes and a Keith Jarrett tune. And yeah, I would just love, I remember we would be on tour, SONiA. We would be anywhere in the summer, had a pool. I would have my Walkman on, just walking in circles. I love the pace. I just can't help it. I think drummers do that. And just repeating these songs, the melody after melody after melody, so I could sing along with them. And then, I still can do it to this day. As that tune comes on, I'm just trying to nail it as best I can. But it's a good
Wow.
thing for a drummer to be able to do that.
That's like light years of information. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. You never stop. You never stop learning. I hope.
No way.
Maybe you can impart that to someone too, because I'm sure you've accumulated a great deal. Just this conversation, I mean, is a great
Right.
deal
Yeah,
of
I
knowledge.
got to teach for a few years up at Frostburg State. That was a good time. I enjoyed doing that, imparting
Cool,
what I could. But
cool, cool. I completely understand the difficult parts, because I do want to say too that when on that August night in Atlanta, 1996, after we were at the Olympic Center, for the Gay Center for the Olympics, and you and I met afterwards, and you said, I need to talk to you. I don't think there was any peppermint patties. Maybe we needed some, but you had just gotten married, and I knew your life was moving in a direction of wanting to be with your family and making a bigger family and being with Molly and everything. And that was really, it's funny because at the time I wouldn't have said you were such a pivotal person. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I think when you're in your 20s and early 30s, you sort of like, I won't say people are like aspirin, but you don't think they're like LSD. If that or something. I mean, you kind of think like, well, I'll make something else of it because I'm the songwriter and I'm like the catalyst, fuel, fire thing. But that conversation that we had, and then when Brian also followed you, which I figured he would, that was pretty much, that was like that was the end of an era. That was the end of that chapter of Disappear Fear. And I've never really had, I mean, you can't get that back. That was so special. And it was sort of bittersweet. I was feeling, I think, what you were feeling too. And I think I was not the best leader at the time. I was pretty lost, tumbling and turning with Cindy not being there, and trying to figure out, maybe I need to like take a break, for a while, but you can't take a break when you're raising children. So it's, I mean,
Right.
it was definitely a big, it was a big turning point. It definitely
Well,
was.
I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Honored that you feel that way. I didn't know. I mean, honestly, it was such a quick break. I remember I was on the phone with you at Molly's house. She had already had a house when we had gotten married.
Right.
And I had that long phone, that cord that you pull out, that long, and I'm pacing around again in the front yard. It must have been fairly warm out. And I remember saying to you, yeah, I think, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that was it. I mean, really, obviously you did your thing, I did my thing, and we got back in touch with each other just through a text, maybe once every 3 years or so. I
Hmm.
might write you a letter. I remember once on a plane I wrote you a letter and
Yeah.
that kind
Yeah.
of
No,
stuff.
that was great.
Not
That
in
was
touch
awesome.
very much, but enough over the years that we maintain a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we split, I don't know. I mean, I must say I never really looked at it that way, like a whole era was done, and that's I don't know. It feels kind of good.
Yeah.
Sorry that I screwed it all up,
No,
but
no,
it
I think it was time. And
was time.
I
Yeah,
really
no,
do.
it was. I do too.
Yeah, I love that about you. You are a grounded man. You see what you're doing and you're where you're standing. I like that. And I mean, I have sort of like good macro, like long term sort of like, but I have no idea how to walk across the room. I'm the
I
type,
know what you're saying. No, I
and we're
understand
and we're
what you're saying.
we're really opposite that way. And I think it's a Virgo thing, because I married one and I seem to be around them a lot, and it's very good for me. I mean, I
Well,
have days when I feel like completely like, That's why I wore my army boots, because my an early singing vocal
That's a
instructor of
smart
mine
move.
said, yeah,
No, that's
be
great.
grounded, be connected to the earth.
Dang, that's
Yeah.
good.
I think
That's
it helped,
good.
especially when I was like moving heavy equipment and banging up my feet and stuff. So.
Well, regardless of, you're at times, not able to quite figure out how to get to the path, and my very rigid groundedness, I don't know. I thought you and I, though, musically, it was always easy. Never had to. It was easy. It just
Yeah,
did what we did.
yeah, definitely, definitely. That's awesome. Um, so so I was going to ask you if you still listen to the music a little bit. We have talked a little bit about that, not
Yeah, I
recording, but
mean, let's see. Over the years, I certainly have. But I must admit, I'm not too up to date on probably your last 2, 3, 4 albums.
yeah,
I know I heard the last one when it came out a couple of times, and I dug it. But when I do go back, I always go back for to me, just
yeah.
the classic stuff. To
Mhm.
me, you don't probably even know what the classic stuff is, but the
What's
classic stuff is, I mean, live at the bottom line, girl. That's it. I mean,
uh,
for me, you can't get more raw and pure and beautiful and musical and harmonious. That's it. So I always go there first. But then there's a whole lot of stuff outside of that, but that's the core for me,
wow,
and
wow,
always was. I mean, I
huh?
remember when I was waiting in Key West for you to call about did I get the gig or not. Brian was with me because he was playing with me with that Tony Berry band at the time, and we were on a moped together, and we were listening to your song. It was 16 Roses with. I would give him the headphones. He would give me the headphones. We were just riding around Key West on one moped, and we were digging it. We were digging it. That's
Oh my
right.
goodness. Wow. Wow. That's good. That's really, really good. Yeah, I was definitely, I remember that song that night. I remember that song. It's more than three-dimensional for me. It's like 6 or 8 or maybe even more dimensional than that, for different facets of of that song. I can like the aorta is still going wah wah wah, on that on the essence of that song. I've really felt it. Um, it's good songwriting is very, it's like you're really in the zone, and I was definitely in the zone and can get back to the zone when I'm doing it, even still.
Well,
Um,
my God, you have. I mean, you have so many good songs.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and that's not something to just take lightly. I mean, so many good songs.
Thank you.
It's crazy. Seriously, I don't know. I don't know. Good for you.
Well, I love that's like my thing. Like I love writing songs. I'm always trying to write a better song, for because you always are, and just keep learning it, and also keeping up at this time in my life with this body, older body, to be, uh, you know, uh, in good enough shape to have enough air and keep everything, like it is. But and it changes, it definitely changes, but it's good. Um, so let's see. I'm coming to. We're good. This is awesome. Would you and this, I think I wrote to you about this, but um, would you be up to doing a reunion concert?
Of course.
Really
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely.
Okay.
So I don't even know, like first of all, last I heard, you told me Chris Selman had COVID. This was like 9 months ago. I assume he's just fine.
He is. He is. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't
Right.
let you. He's coming. I was like,
And so
was
I'm
worried.
assuming this would be, Brian and myself and you and Cindy perhaps
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Spellman.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
And
That would be
Howard.
fantastic. And Howard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's who
That
I'm
would be
thinking.
great.
That would
That
be
would
so
be great.
awesome. So it would take some rehearsals and stuff, but um, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
That's
I'll
awesome.
make whenever I'll make the time to do what we got to do.
Cool. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
There's no, I was just going to say, well, whatever the answer is, I mean, I haven't talked to Brian yet, but he seems pretty excited too. So everybody got back to me right away, which was really, really good. So
Yep.
it's good. All right. Well, I'm
All
gonna
right,
tie up this part of
wrap
it.
it up, and I'm gonna go back to work.
All right.
Here's my band. See, I'm selling all this. This is what I do. I sell. Well, you can't see any of it. I've been very busy. Even today, I was like hustling and humping just so I could get to a spot that had Wi-Fi at 12 o'clock. And lo and behold, I did it. And believe me, it wasn't easy. But here we are, and we got it done. And now I'm going back to work. Over and out, SONiA. You know I love you. I'll talk to you
Thank you.
later.
Love you too,
Bye-bye.
Mark. Bye. Okay, that wraps it up with Mark, and thank you so much for tuning in. There'll be more musicians and a reunion at some point. That'll be awesome. Thank you.